Have you ever found yourself standing in the way of your own success without even realizing it? Have you struggled to achieve your goals, only to trip up just before the finish line? If so, you're not alone. Author and personal development coach Gary John Bishop knows exactly how you feel, because he's been there himself. In his latest book, Bishop delves into the topic of self-sabotage, what it is, where it comes from, and how to overcome it. Drawing on his own personal experiences and years of helping clients transform their lives, he reveals the root causes of unconscious self-sabotage and offers a practical, no-nonsense approach to breaking free from it once and for all. With Bishop's guidance, you'll discover why other forms of self-help may have failed you in the past, and gain the tools and insights you need to take control of your life and achieve your dreams. You'll learn to recognize and overcome the self-defeating thoughts and behaviors that have been holding you back, and find the strength and courage to take ownership of your actions and create the life you truly want. So, if you're ready to leave self-sabotage behind and start living the life you were meant to live, this video is for you. Join Gary John Bishop on a journey of self-discovery and transformation, and discover the power you already possess to make your dreams a reality. Chapter 1. Meet Sarah. She's a successful businesswoman, with a thriving career, great friends, and a loving family. From the outside, her life looks perfect, but deep down, Sarah is her own worst enemy. Have you ever heard of self-sabotage? It's when you unintentionally harm yourself or your own efforts at something. And Sarah is a pro at it. Every time she hits a stride, she starts to worry that something terrible will happen to ruin everything. And then, inevitably, it does. But Sarah is not alone. Self-sabotage is more common than you think. Maybe you've done it too, without even realizing it. Think back to a time when things were going well for you. Did you start to get anxious and make nervous, scared decisions instead of embracing the unknown? Or maybe you pulled back from life, scared that you'd make some grave mistake. And then, like clockwork, something happened to set you back. You blamed external factors, but did you take a closer look? Did your worrying and stressing influence your actions, leading to the dreaded losing it all? For many people, these cycles of self-sabotage continue, despite all the self-help ideas out there. But why? In the next section, we'll dive into the reasons and explore how to stop self-sabotaging for good. Chapter 2. As a young boy, Tyler had always felt like he was different from the other kids. He didn't know why, but he always felt like he didn't quite fit in, no matter how hard he tried. Growing up, he was constantly teased and bullied, which only reinforced his feeling of not belonging. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was something wrong with him. As Tyler grew older, he tried to distance himself from his past and move on with his life. He went to college, got a good job, and even found love. But no matter how successful he became, he always felt like he was living a lie. He was constantly anxious, waiting for the other shoe to drop, and convinced that he would never truly be happy. It wasn't until Tyler started seeing a therapist that he began to understand how his past was affecting his present. Through a series of sessions, he learned that his feelings of not belonging were rooted in his childhood experiences. He had been abandoned by his father at a young age, and his mother struggled to make ends meet as a single parent. As a result, Tyler had always felt like he wasn't good enough, like he didn't deserve love or success. But the therapist helped Tyler see that these were just thoughts, not truths. She taught him that he had the power to choose his own beliefs and create a new reality for himself. Tyler slowly began to challenge the negative beliefs that had held him back for so long, and he started to see the world in a different way. It wasn't easy, and there were setbacks along the way. But Tyler was determined to break the cycle of self-sabotage that had plagued him for years. He started to take risks, to put himself out there, and to believe in himself. And slowly but surely, he began to build a life that he was truly proud of. Looking back, Tyler realized that he had been so focused on blaming his past for his present that he hadn't realized he had the power to change it. But once he took ownership of his own life, he found a newfound sense of freedom and joy that he had never experienced before. Chapter 3. Sarah had always felt like something was holding her back. No matter how hard she tried, She couldn't seem to shake the feeling that she wasn't good enough, that everyone else had it together and she was the only one floundering. One day, she stumbled upon an article about sabotaging thoughts, deep-seated beliefs that influence our behavior without us even realizing it. As she read on, she realized that she had been a victim of these thoughts her whole life. There was the voice that told her she was incompetent and worthless, the belief that everyone else was out to get her, and the notion that life was inherently unfair. As she delved deeper into the concept of sabotaging thoughts, Sarah began to uncover the root of her insecurities. She realized that the idea of being inadequate was something that had been drilled into her by her critical parents, who always expected perfection from her. The belief that everyone else was untrustworthy stemmed from a few bad experiences in her past that she had never fully processed. And the idea that life was against her was something she had picked up from her constantly struggling family. But now that she was aware of these sabotaging thoughts, Sarah began to take control of her life. She started to journal about her experiences, and soon found herself seeking out a therapist who could help her work through her insecurities. As she slowly began to shed the weight of these deep-seated beliefs, she found herself feeling more confident, more self-assured, and more capable than ever before. With her newfound understanding of sabotaging thoughts, Sarah was able to break free from the cycle of self-sabotage and chart a new course for her life. No longer held back by the beliefs that had once controlled her, she was able to step boldly into a brighter future, one where she was the one in charge of her own destiny. Chapter 4. Lena had always felt stuck in her life. She knew she wanted more, but something always held her back. She had tried every self-help book and program out there, but nothing seemed to work. It wasn't until she stumbled upon an article about identifying personal saboteurs that things began to shift for her. Lena spent days reflecting on her thoughts, actions, and experiences, and finally, she identified her 3 saboteurs. They were, "I'm not good enough," "Things never work out for me," and "I don't deserve happiness." As she sat with this knowledge, Lena realized how these negative thoughts had been holding her back all her life. She would try to make progress, but subconsciously, she was always looking for evidence that her saboteurs were true. She knew that to move forward, she had to accept these thoughts as a part of herself. It wasn't an easy process, but Lena was determined to face her saboteurs head-on. She started writing down all the times when her saboteurs popped up, and slowly but surely, she began to see a pattern. Whenever she felt like giving up, or when things didn't go her way, her saboteurs would take over. Once Lena fully accepted her saboteurs, it was time for the fun part, dreaming big. She had always wanted to start her own business, but her saboteurs had held her back. Now, she felt more determined than ever. She created a vision board, and every day she visualized herself running a successful business. But Lena knew that dreaming alone wouldn't get her anywhere. She needed to take action. She started small, researching the industry and reading up on entrepreneurship. Slowly but surely, she took bigger steps, like attending networking events and meeting with potential investors. It wasn't easy, and there were many times when Lena felt like giving up. But she reminded herself of her progress and how far she had come. And every time her saboteurs tried to take over, she acknowledged them and reminded herself that they weren't true. In the end, Lena's hard work paid off. She opened her own business, and it was a huge success. She had finally broken free from the cycle of self-sabotage, and it was all thanks to identifying and accepting her personal saboteurs. Conclusion. As you sit there, having uncovered and accepted your personal saboteurs, you can feel a sense of liberation. For the first time in a long time, you feel like you have the power to truly change your life. Over the next few weeks and months, you start to implement changes in your life. You take actions that align with your conscious goals and dreams, rather than letting your subconscious beliefs run the show. It's not always easy. Sometimes your saboteurs still rear their ugly heads, tempting you to slip back into old patterns. But each time you catch yourself and consciously choose a different path, you feel a little more confident in your ability to shape your own life. And slowly but surely, you start to see progress. You start to see the life you've been dreaming of become a reality. It's not perfect, of course. There are still setbacks and obstacles to overcome. But now you know that you have the power to overcome them. You look back on your journey and realize that the most important step was accepting your saboteurs. Without that crucial piece, you would still be stuck in the same old patterns, wondering why your efforts to change never seem to work. But now, you feel like anything is possible. You know that as long as you stay vigilant, stay focused, and dream big, you can continue to create the life you want to be living. And as you sit there, basking in the glow of your newfound power, you realize that the best hands to be in were always your own. Now, the insights and knowledge I gained from reading Stop Doing That Shit were phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and if you found value in this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more great content. Trust me, you won't regret it.